You know that specific feeling when you've been running on a treadmill for like an
Yeah,
hour?
you're absolutely exhausted.
Right, you're sweating through your clothes, your heart is just pounding out of your chest.
Yeah.
But then you look around and realize you are standing in the exact same spot where you started.
It is a very tiring, very stationary existence.
Mm.
And honestly, it's kind of the defining physical sensation of the modern era.
It really is. I mean, for so many people listening right now, that is exactly what the pursuit of happiness feels like today.
Right, like you're just endlessly running.
Exactly. You secure the promotion, you buy the house, you hit whatever arbitrary milestones society set up for you.
And yet there's just this restless, echoing emptiness underneath it all.
It's the great paradox of modern success. You see it at every single level of society, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Uh,
From presidents and billionaires to ordinary folks working 9 to 5, the surface might shine brilliantly, but the core is somehow hollow.
yeah.
People spend their entire lives chasing this permanent state of joy, but rarely, if ever, actually catch it.
Which brings us to the source material for today's deep dive. We are looking at a 2005 philosophical essay.
Right, written in Gansu, China.
Yes, by an author named Zhu Feng. And this text introduces a really radical mind-bending concept called Lifechanyuan.
It's quite a read.
It really is. Our mission today is to test this text against our modern lives.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack its unconventional ideas about human potential, love, ownership.
Just to see if it actually holds the secret to getting off that treadmill.
Exactly. Because it's a fascinating document. It doesn't just suggest, a few minor lifestyle tweaks.
Right. No, it's not like telling you to wake up earlier or meditate for 10 minutes.
Not at all. It claims to be the ultimate guaranteed path to real happiness and joy.
Both in this life and beyond time and space entirely, which is a massive claim.
It is. It blends Eastern philosophy, intense spiritual devotion, and some deeply provocative ideas that basically challenge the very foundation of how we live.
It really pulls no punches.
No, it doesn't. And I have to admit, when I first read the premise, I was deeply skeptical.
I mean, who wouldn't be?
Right. A guaranteed path to happiness that claims to work where wealth, fame, and power absolutely fail. That is a huge, almost impossible claim.
So how did you approach it?
Well, I approached the text trying to figure out the logistics, like what exactly is the utopia of Lifechanyuan?
What did you think it was at first?
My immediate assumption was that this is some kind of remote off-the-grid commune in the mountains.
Like a physical place you can go to.
Exactly. But right off the bat, the author throws a major hurdle at that assumption.
Yeah, Lifechanyuan is not a physical place you can point to on a map.
Or buy a plane ticket to visit. No. The essay describes it as a realm of boundless time and space.
Right, completely free from the narrow limitations of normal human thinking.
Yes, and the argument is that all the things we consider impossible in our daily lives, they only seem that way because our minds are too constrained by physical reality.
Okay, so it is a psychological or spiritual state, rather than like a zip code.
Exactly. But even states of mind usually have rules or frameworks. Yet the author says it operates entirely differently from any traditional institution we know.
Right, like there are no religious rituals you have to perform.
None. No regular community meetings to attend, no political rules to follow, and no compulsory ideological training.
Wow. Furthermore, there aren't even the burdensome obligations we normally associate with family and friends.
Right. It doesn't oppose governments or pick fights with national leaders. It is entirely removed from that kind of conflict.
Because when you look closely at secular society, or even criminal organizations, as the author points out, they operate on ruthless life-or-death competition.
Yeah, they require constant vigilance and forced action just to survive.
But Lifechanyuan, by contrast, operates on natural, effortless action.
And I was trying to conceptualize how a community functions without any of those structural guardrails.
It's hard to picture.
It is. The analogy that came to my mind is that it feels almost like an open source, unnetworked spiritual sanctuary.
Oh, I like that. Open source.
Right. Because in open source software, anyone can use the code, but nobody owns it. There are no hidden subscription fees, no user agreements you have to sign.
The author literally compares it to fresh, pure air that you can breathe freely.
Yes. I think the open source analogy works perfectly because it highlights the complete absence of terms and conditions.
Right. And in Eastern philosophy, this natural, unforced existence is deeply connected to the concept of the Tao.
The Tao, yeah.
Things unfolding organically without manufactured effort. The essay identifies the root of our unhappiness, not as a lack of achievement, but as an absolute excess of obligations.
We were just burned out.
Exactly. Because every interaction in secular society comes with a contract, whether it's written or implied.
Yeah, and if you are listening to this on your commute right now, think about how much mental energy you spend just navigating those implied contracts.
Guarding your status at work.
Right, maintaining social obligations you don't even enjoy.
Worrying about your investments.
Exactly. The author is essentially saying that all of that forced action is what makes us miserable. But that leads to an obvious problem.
Which is?
If Lifechanyuan is this open source utopia with no physical gates and no membership dues, how do you download it? Like, what actually grants you entry into this state?
Yeah. This is where the philosophy pivots from the boundless nature of the sanctuary to the incredibly rigorous psychological requirements needed to inhabit it.
Because there is a catch.
There is a catch.
Mm.
The essay states that entering Lifechanyuan purifies the soul and elevates the quality of life, but
many, many people are barred at the door.
by their own mindsets. You don't buy your way in, you have to qualify mentally.
And the list of disqualifying traits is essentially a full-scale audit of human flaws.
It really is.
He says you cannot enter if you are stubborn or full of what he calls worldly vulgarity.
Right, and you're barred if you are hypercritical of others, jealous of their success, lazy, parasitic, or filled with hatred.
He even specifically calls out people who are highly learned and wise.
Yeah, he warns against arrogant scholars who refuse to walk alongside everyday people.
Or who are so convinced of their own intellect that they cannot tolerate any criticism.
The entrance requirements leave absolutely zero room for the ego to hide.
I mean, most of those make sense to me. Nobody wants to hang out in a utopia with a parasitic, hateful person.
Right, of course not.
But I really struggled with one specific part of his list. The author says you are excluded if you are overly cautious and mistrustful.
Yes.
Even of the greatest creator, your parents or your lovers.
It's a high bar.
It's a terrifying bar. If I strip away my caution and my critical eye, I feel like I'd just be a completely passive doormat.
Well,
Doesn't this author realize that a healthy dose of mistrust is how you avoid getting eaten alive in the real world?
it sounds incredibly reckless from our modern perspective, I know.
Yeah.
But the author is presenting an intentional paradox here.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Yes, in the secular world, caution, skepticism, and a critical eye are our survival mechanisms. They are the heavy armor we wear to keep from being scammed or emotionally devastated.
Right.
But the essay argues that the very defenses we use to protect ourselves are the exact same barriers that block us from experiencing true joy.
So the armor is keeping the arrows out, but it's also keeping the sunlight out.
Precisely. If your psychological frequency is constantly tuned to anticipating betrayal, if you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, even with your own family, you only ever experience fear and anxiety.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. To become a Chanyuan celestial, which is the term for someone inhabiting this state, you must be willing to take off the armor completely.
It requires a level of absolute terrifying vulnerability.
It really does.
Okay, so let's follow that logic. If I drop my armor, if I abandon my ego and my caution, I am left completely exposed.
Yes.
That creates a massive, terrifying void in a person's psyche. What is supposed to fill that void so I don't just, collapse?
According to the text, that void must be filled by a radical redefinition of your relationship to the world.
Centered on what?
Centered on humility, devotion, and above all, detachment.
Yes. The detachment aspect is where the philosophy gets genuinely confrontational.
It does.
Because the author argues that true happiness requires letting go of possession entirely. And he's not just talking about selling your expensive car or emptying your bank account.
No, not at all.
He says we have to stop claiming, this is my country, my ethnicity, my political party, my religion.
And he goes even further than that. He insists we must stop saying, this is my family, or this is my spouse.
Which is incredibly jarring.
Oh, absolute.
Saying my car is one thing, but how does a person navigate life without acknowledging their own family?
It's tough to wrap your head around.
If I stop saying my child or my husband, do I just treat the people living in my house like random roommates I happen to be fond of?
Well, the author is demanding a profound shift from a mindset of control to a mindset of stewardship.
Stewardship, okay.
Let's look at the actual mechanism of suffering he's proposing. The underlying logic is that ownership inevitably breeds a fear of loss.
Because if you own it, you can lose it.
Exactly. When you declare, this is my spouse or this is my child, there's an implicit sense of territorial ownership and therefore an expectation of what they owe you in return for your protection or love.
Wow. So the word my acts like a microscopic contract.
Yes, and contracts require enforcement, which causes stress.
Right.
If you remove the my, you transition to selfless dedication. You are simply loving them and caring for them without calculating personal gain or demanding loyalty.
You're a steward of the relationship, not the owner of it.
Exactly.
But that requires an almost superhuman dose of humility. Because to be a steward, you have to accept that you are not the center of the universe.
Which is hard for us humans.
It is. The essay points at a harsh but maybe liberating truth. The earth will keep turning just fine without you.
Yes.
Strangers and even your most beloved family and friends will carry on and perhaps even thrive if you are gone.
It's a massive blow to the ego. We all want to believe we're indispensable to the people we love.
Of course we do.
But realizing that you are not holding the world together means you no longer have to carry the crushing weight of it on your shoulders.
Right?
And this psychological unburdening ties directly into what the author describes as the spiritual mechanics of joy and physical health.
Okay, I wanted to ask about that because he makes the claim that even physical disease originates from impurities of the soul.
He does.
Wait, how exactly does saying my house or being a little arrogant translate into physical illness? What is the actual mechanism he is proposing there?
Well, the author views the body and the soul as deeply intertwined through what we might call spiritual friction.
Spiritual friction.
Yeah. When you are driven by ego, when you're constantly guarding your possessions and enforcing your social contracts, you are generating massive amounts of stress.
Which we know is true biologically.
Exactly. From a modern biological standpoint, we know that chronic stress and elevated cortisol tear the immune system apart.
Right.
From the author's metaphysical standpoint, this ego-driven stress throws your soul out of alignment with the universe.
So the friction of trying to own the world literally grinds your body down.
Exactly. The idea is that you have to align your soul's frequency with the greatest creator's spirit.
And when you surrender your need for control,
that spiritual friction disappears, the frequency resonates perfectly, illness vanishes, and infinite joy arises because you're finally flowing with the Tao rather than fighting against it.
it's beautiful, really. And you really see this intense, overwhelming spiritual devotion in how the author, Su Feng, talks about his own role in this utopia.
Yes, his writing becomes very lyrical.
It borders on poetry. He says he wishes to become a flying steed carrying the Chanyuan celestials through space and time.
He wants to be a humble servant washing their feet.
He really embraces complete, joyful submission to the community. He references Jesus quoting, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also."
Right, and he also points to Buddha Shakyamuni, noting that offering one's soul and wisdom to others is far greater than offering mountains of physical treasure or the sands of the Ganges.
Because for him, the community of celestials is the ultimate treasure.
Yeah, it is.
He specifically lists several of them. Foshan, Taiji, Penglai, Bailing, Wanian, and Qianian.
Yeah.
He says finding pure joy in their writings and praises is like feasting on delicacies. He treats their shared wisdom as something far more valuable than gold.
It's a beautiful sentiment about community, but it also logically forces us into the most controversial and jarring part in this entire deep dive.
Ah, yes. Because if absolute detachment is the goal, that immediately creates a massive problem for human biology.
A huge problem.
We are hardwired as a species to crave deep, intimate affection.
Right.
So how does the author reconcile this biological need for profound love with a strict ban on ownership and exclusive attachment?
Well, he reconciles it by taking the philosophy of detachment to an absolute shocking extreme.
Shocking is the right word.
He proposes what he hopes will be a nuclear explosion of insight to shatter our traditional views on relationships.
Right. He reveals a dream he has for humanity. And I literally had to read this section 3 times to make sure I was understanding it correctly.
It throws everyone off.
He proposes that every woman should have 100 husbands and every man should have 100 wives.
It is undoubtedly the most provocative concept in the entire essay.
I mean, wait, 100?
100. And it's the one concept most likely to cause immediate outrage in secular or religious readers.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I see the mathematical logic he's playing with, right? Like, if everyone is married to everyone, no one exclusively owns anyone.
Exactly.
But practically speaking, that sounds like an absolute logistical nightmare, not a utopia.
It does sound like a lot of scheduling.
How does he justify the emotional toll of that? It feels like it would just create endless jealousy and chaos, which violates the very rules of Lifechanyuan.
Okay, this is where we have to analyze the text impartially, right?
Yeah.
as an intentional philosophical provocation rather than a literal policy proposal for a commune.
Okay, a provocation.
Yes. By suggesting an absurdly high number, like 100, the author completely shatters the traditional framework of romantic ownership.
Because you couldn't possibly manage it.
Right. You cannot possibly hoard or micromanage the affection of 100 people in the way you might hoard the affection of one.
So this sheer volume destroys the possessiveness.
That is the goal. He is challenging the celestials to reimagine affection, not as a scarce commodity that must be locked down with a marriage certificate and guarded jealously.
But as an abundant, non-exclusive resource.
Exactly. Think of it like sunlight. You enjoy it when it warms you, but you do not try to put it in a safe.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And his logic for why this abundance is necessary is actually rooted in human vitality.
Oh, so
He argues that affection and love are the major sources of happiness in life. He says that the feeling of love is capable of giving a 60-year-old the vitality, energy, and hope of a teenager experiencing their first crush.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the text suggests that a person's greatest potential and creative passion can only be truly released in an ocean of love.
An ocean of love.
Right. Living without love or living in a marriage that has devolved into constant arguing and contract enforcement turns heaven into hell instantly.
And he argues that achieving this ocean of love requires breaking free from what he calls purposeful action.
Purposeful action, yeah.
He says that all intentional, forced actions, like trying to manufacture a specific romantic outcome or forcing someone to stay with you, are just illusions.
They're like dreams and bubbles
Yeah.
that eventually pop.
Exactly.
That phrase, purposeful action, is really the key to understanding his worldview. It refers to our human tendency to try and manufacture outcomes, to force relationships into rigid boxes.
Right.
Breaking free from that means allowing love to flow naturally and boundlessly without demanding anything in return.
Which goes back to the open source idea.
Yes, the greatest creator, according to the author, put humans on Earth to enjoy life, not to suffer through endless obligations. He explicitly states that the Creator is not cruel or stingy.
We humans are the ones who are cruel and stingy with our love.
Exactly.
But even still, he explicitly acknowledges that this view is radical. Like he knows it directly conflicts with the teachings of Christianity, Buddhism, and the foundational laws of secular society.
He is well aware. He knows people will reject it.
Which is why he refers to it as that nuclear explosion of insight.
Right. He isn't necessarily demanding everyone go find 99 more spouses tomorrow.
Hope not.
Yeah. He's offering this dream as an intellectual explosive device to break the heavy shackles of tradition, forcing the reader to question why they view love as something to be hoarded in the first place.
And it certainly works as an explosive device. I mean, it forces you to look at every relationship in your life through a completely different, slightly uncomfortable lens.
It does. And if we zoom out and look at the entire journey of this essay, it is a profound philosophical arc.
It really is.
We started by examining the universal exhaustion of the modern rat race, the hollow emptiness of worldly success and forced obligations.
The treadmill.
The treadmill, exactly. From there, we explored the concept of Lifechanyuan as an open-source sanctuary.
A utopia built not on physical walls or membership dues, but on a psychological state of effortless action and flowing with the Tao.
Then we looked at the rigorous psychological gatekeepers, the necessity of extreme vulnerability, of dropping our protective armor and refusing to let ego, caution, or jealousy dictate our daily interactions.
Then we dug into the mechanics of spiritual friction, the idea that disease and suffering originate from the stress of ownership, and that true health comes from shifting to a mindset of humble stewardship.
And finally, we grappled with that mind-bending proposal of boundless, non-exclusive love.
The 100 spouses.
Right, a thought experiment designed to obliterate our traditional notions of scarcity and possessiveness.
It is a lot to process, but it is vital to remember a key detail the author includes right at the end of the text.
Oh, right.
He references Buddhism, noting that just as there are 84,000 paths to enlightenment, there are 84,000 ways to pursue real happiness and joy.
Yeah, he's demonstrating humility even in his own writing.
Right. He's not declaring that his essay is the absolute only way to live.
No, he offers his philosophy merely as one spark to get us thinking, to jolt our minds out of their constrained, exhausting patterns.
And whether you agree with his methods or find them completely unworkable, it definitely provides that spark.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with today. The author suggests that the vast majority of our daily suffering comes directly from the things we proudly claim as ours.
The incredibly heavy burden of the word my.
Yes. So, as you go about the rest of your day, look around at your life. Look at your job title, your relationships, and the physical possessions sitting in your home.
The things you feel you own.
Exactly. And ask yourself, what is one thing you claim ownership over right now that might actually be earning you? Because maybe, just maybe, learning to be a steward of that thing rather than its owner is the first real step to finally getting off that treadmill.